What is going on, my people? Thank you for tuning in and listening to the Nares Cat Nose Show once again. Your continued support is greatly appreciated, whether you're watching on YouTube, scrolling on TikTok, or listening on Spotify. Your support does not go unnoticed, but I do ask that if you are enjoying the show on Spotify, that you leave a rating on the podcast's homepage. This helps with boosting our discoverability. Still don't know what that word means, but it helps with it. So if you could do that for me, and if you're watching on YouTube, that you subscribe, leave a like, leave a comment, give me your feedback. Any feedback is warranted. Good feedback, bad feedback, anything you can give me, I appreciate. To grow this podcast is my goal. So if we can get any feedback back from that, then I'll be happy with that. Aside from that, we are talking about the NFL in today's episode, NFL news. We're talking about Anthony Joshua versus Francis Ngannou in Saudi Arabia on March 8th, and the main event, you guessed it, UFC 299. The UFC is back in Miami this weekend, and we are talking about that. So if you guys are interested, let's get right into it, and I hope you guys enjoy the show. To follow me on other socials, at NaresCat on most platforms, and NaresCatKnows on Instagram. Welcome to the rodeo, ladies and gents. We are back, ladies and gents. The NaresCat Nose Show is back in your life. Welcome back. We've got a big weekend ahead of us, a very big weekend at that, in the sports world. But before we get to that, I'd like to start with something that's happened this past week, and it's big news. It is very big news, and it comes from the NFL. Yes, the season is done. We are finished. We are without football until August, but a big change has happened with regards to the Denver Broncos. Russell Wilson has been released. Quarterback Russell Wilson has been released by the Denver Broncos. He was traded to the Broncos in late 2022. He had two very mediocre seasons, and the Broncos have decided to take an $85 million, a record $85 million salary dead cap hit, which means they lose $85 million by letting Russell Wilson go, which is a new NFL record. And not only is it an NFL record, it is a bigger salary cap hit than the past two salary cap hits, the past two biggest salary cap hits in NFL history. Matt Ryan was the one, and I'm not sure who the other one was. The point being, they have taken a huge loss with letting Russell Wilson go. Now, where does he end up? Okay, look, we're talking about Russell Wilson here. He's, one of the greats when it comes to NFL quarterbacks, a Super Bowl champion. He has had a few bad years, let's be real, but he is still an elite level quarterback. And there's a lot of teams that would and could take him in the 2024 season. But if you look at the teams, so the possible teams that he can end up are the Pittsburgh Steelers, and I think right now Kenny Pickett is their quarterback. Okay, mediocre quarterback, nothing special. You have the Atlanta Falcons, who have Desmond Ridder as their starter quarterback at the moment. Again, better quarterback, but not at that level like Russell Wilson, even though he's on a bit of a dry streak. I get it. But then you have the Patriots, the Raiders, the Commanders. But the Commanders have the second pick in the draft. And if the Bears don't take Caleb Williams first overall, you bet your bottom dollar the Commanders are going to take Caleb Williams in the second pick of the draft. Caleb Williams is the hottest draft prospect. going into the 2024 NFL draft, for those of you who don't know, he is a guaranteed, first ballot draft prospect, first round draft prospect. He's likely to go number 1 overall. If he doesn't, he will definitely go number 2. But it's difficult when you look at the Commanders' situation. They wouldn't trade for Russell Wilson just because they're taking Caleb Williams. It would be a bit of a weird move. But in saying all those teams, the Commanders, the Patriots, the Raiders, Falcons, you name them, all these lower end teams that need this franchise star quarterback, I think the one that makes the most sense for him is the Minnesota Vikings. Okay, so the Vikings obviously made the playoffs. Kirk Cousins had an injury. Keenan Allen was the quarterback for not Keenan Allen, Case Keenum, I think his name is. I can't remember his name. Anyway, Case Keenum. I don't know. But anyway, Kirk Cousins is out of contract. If he returns to the Vikings, obviously that puts Russell Wilson out of the conversation. That's obvious. But if Kirk Cousins is to leave and goes somewhere like the Raiders or the Falcons or somewhere else, okay? Just let's say that. Then that is a great place for Russell Wilson to end up with his caliber of experience and his level of skill, being a left-handed quarterback, throws off the defense. You've got an offense of, Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, 2 elite, you've got the best wide receiver in the NFL, plus Jordan Addison, a young, a star wide receiver. It's a no-brainer for Russell Wilson if the Vikings reach out and say, listen, would you like to come to us for the 2024 season? But I don't know. It's a bit of a difficult thing, and with regards to the Bears in this conversation, they have Justin Fields, okay? Justin Fields has been doing a very good job with the Chicago Bears, a mediocre team, but he has been leading from the front. But if they go a different direction, they have the first overall pick. They can go with Caleb Williams. They have 2 picks already. So they either keep Justin Fields or they go ahead with Caleb Williams. Do they trust Justin Fields, or do they want to move on and say, we've seen all we want. We're going to move on, take Caleb Williams in the draft. That then opens the door for the Commanders to possibly take Russell Wilson. But I don't see that happening. I see Justin Fields staying at the Bears for some reason. I just think he's elite. And I see the Commanders taking Caleb Williams 2nd overall. So I have absolutely no idea where Russell Wilson is going to end up. There are a lot of teams. You can bet yourself that he's going to be in the NFL next season. He's not going to stay a free agent. He will find a team. But, the Garoppolo's at the Raiders. Sam Howell is the current Washington quarterback. These are, guys, mediocre quarterbacks. Russ is a star quarterback. So the faster he gets a team, the faster that team can then work on making an offense around him, simply because he is a franchise quarterback. But I don't know, weird things happen in the sport of the NFL. But I think the point being in this whole story with, this new ownership, including Lewis Hamilton of the Denver Broncos, they have brought in Russell Wilson and it just hasn't worked out. He made $125 million in 2 years at the Denver Broncos, and the Denver Broncos have now lost $85 million in letting him go, which is quite something. That's $85 million that they can't use to rebuild and can't use to offer contracts and stuff like that. It's a difficult situation. But the point being, the Seattle Seahawks won the trade between themselves and the Denver Broncos when they traded Russell Wilson to the Denver Broncos. It's so clear to see. They got Drew Lock, who, when, when Geno Smith was injured this past season, Drew Lock stepped up and stepped up very well. He had it was very common that he had game-winning drives, and he was able to step up when he needed to be. That's a very good backup quarterback that they got in that trade. They got two first-round picks and another second-round pick, and one of those being Devon Witherspoon, who arguably was one of the best cornerbacks in the league last season. A second-team All-Pro quarterback, that's an asset that they've got, okay, from that trade. Yes, it's not an elite-level quarterback. They have Geno Smith and they have Drew Lock now, but they got an elite-level quarterback, made it to the playoffs, and the Broncos didn't. So it's clear to see that the Seattle Seahawks won the draft in 2022, won the trade, in 2022 when they traded for Russell Wilson with the Denver Broncos. It's clear to see. But where does he end up? I have no idea. It's a difficult thing because you never know in the NFL. Things happen. I mean, this week alone, we've been seeing guys getting franchise tags, guys getting released. The Seahawks have released 3 of their defensive players, and it's just happening every day, every hour at this point. So who knows? We could get an announcement next week that Russell Wilson has joined another team, or it could be even retiring. No one knows. So I don't know, but sticking with the NFL, big announcements, and it's a hard one for us NFL fans and even just sports fans, to take. Jason Kelce has announced his retirement from the NFL after, I think, 13 seasons, is it? Let's not get it twisted. The greatest center of all time to ever play American football. Let's get that out the way. He's on the Mount Rushmore, if not the greatest ever. An amazing guy. You can tell, he is just a golden guy. Super Bowl champion. I don't know how many Pro Bowls. The guy was elite, is an elite player and an elite guy. An elite brother, an elite father. Just an all-round great guy, but he has announced his retirement in a very emotional press conference. He was moved to tears. Travis Kelce, his brother, was moved to tears. His wife was moved to tears. A lot of people were moved to tears watching that press conference. It was quite sad, but he's on to better and bigger things. This New Heights podcast, it's going all the way up. They're doing very well, the two of them, with the podcast. He's been seen out looking like a GTA character at this point, celebrating the Super Bowl, jumping in a fire on a table. If you're on Twitter, if you're on Instagram, and you follow the NFL, you're seeing this stuff. He is getting up to, he's living his best life. Let's be real. But the point is, he's a Philadelphia sports legend and will go down as a legend of the sport for years to come. Will continue to grow. It's the end of a career, but the start of a new chapter. Even though this chapter has been going on for a while with the New Heights podcast, I can see him going very far when it comes to being an analyst or just still staying on the podcast. I see him doing very well, and I wish him all the best in retirement. Jason Kelce, greatest center to ever do it in the NFL. He has announced his retirement after 13 seasons. So that, I think, does it for NFL news today. But staying in America, I think it would be sacrilegious to not give him his credit. LeBron James is the first NBA player to hit 40,000 points. And it speaks volumes, that sentence. He broke the record just over a year ago in early 2023, where he passed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar for number 1 all-time scoring. And he has now hit 40,000 points this past weekend. And it really is GOAT things. It's been known I am a very big Michael Jordan fan. I will probably forever think Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time, simply because of the way he played the game. 6 for 6 in the finals. The MVPs, you name it, over the span of, what was it, 15 years. It's quite something in saying that, to look at LeBron James and see what he's doing at the age of 39 years old. This is his 21st year in the league. That just saying that is ridiculous. And he is still at the top of his game. It's not like he's not like Vince Carter being in the league for 23 years, but being an old, washed up player by the end of his career looking for a ring. No. LeBron is still at the top of his game and doing it every single game. Hitting 40,000 points, the guy is built different. And he does deserve that respect. The fact that he is doing it at the highest level at the age of 39 in his 21st year in the NBA, it really is something. And, the argument of him, not being 100% in the finals, all these things will follow him forever. Obviously Michael is better because of the NBA championships and because of his record in the finals. But I think it needs to be spoken about how LeBron is edging ever so closer to Michael as the greatest of all time. But in saying that, I don't want to start an argument, because these are the arguments that will go on for the rest of time. But I'd like to quote Rio Ferdinand. You just need to enjoy him. Just enjoy him. This is the end of LeBron's career. This is the back end. He's only got a few years left. If Bronny James is drafted in the next couple of years, those will be his last couple of years. It's not going to last forever. And same with Messi and Ronaldo. We're not talking about them, but it's the same thing. You just need to enjoy them, because before you know it, they're going to be gone. And these sports aren't going to be the same without... So basketball won't be the same without LeBron James in the league. It's going to be a different league. And yes, there's future generations coming through, but I think giving LeBron his respect and enjoying him while he's still here, playing at the highest level of his career in the league, you need to appreciate it before it's over, So, yeah, LeBron James, NBA's leading scorer of all time, 40,000 points and counting. Congratulations to him. But aside from that, and yes, it is scary hours with LeBron James hitting 40,000 points at the age of 39. But it is even scarier hours because, ladies and gentlemen, and you will know very well that I am a die-hard Manchester United fan and have been since the age of 2 years old. That's 18, 19 years. I love this team with my heart and soul, but I have to give Arsenal Football Club their credit today. It is very scary hours because Arsenal have now won 6-0 again against Sheffield United on Monday. That is their 7th game in a row. Okay, no, let's break this down. In Arsenal's last 7 games in the Premier League, there has been one game where they have only won by a 1-goal deficit. Do you see what I'm saying? So, in 6 out of 7 games, they have won by 2 goals or more, which is ridiculous. And let me just read over those scorelines. Most recently, Sheffield United 6-0, 5-0 at halftime, ended 6-0. Week before that, Newcastle 4-1. That's a big team. Week before that, Burnley 5-0. Week before that, West Ham 6-0. Week before that, Liverpool 3-1. That's a big team. Week before that, Nottingham Forest 2-1. That was the 1-goal deficit game. And then the week before that, Crystal Palace 5-0. Ladies and gentlemen, if you do the maths, okay, That is 31 goals scored in 7 games in the Premier League, whilst only letting 3 goals into your net. That is ridiculous, okay? And it's even scarier when you think that they are in 3rd place in the Premier League right now, okay? They are only going up, and they are the youngest starting 11 team in the Premier League at the moment, and they are destroying teams week in and week out. And this is getting swept under the carpet a bit because of Manchester Derby and Liverpool versus Chelsea and big games overshadowing this. Arsenal are demolishing teams. They're winning 6-0, 5-0, 6-0, 4-1, week in and week out. Having zero mercy, and are, in my opinion, looking like the strongest team this season. Because they've beaten Liverpool, they've beaten Newcastle. It's only going up from here. We are 10 weeks out from the end, 10 game weeks out from the end of the Premier League season. And I think it's official now that it is between Liverpool, Man City, and Arsenal with regards to title challenges. Aston Villa out of the picture, Tottenham out of the picture, United on 6th. They sit 2 points off the top, okay, with 10 game weeks to go. Anything can happen, okay? Anything. They sit level on games with Liverpool and City, and they are 2 points off the top. There's 2 points between 1, 2, and 3, which is ridiculous. So, the point being, I think the league needs to watch out for Arsenal. We saw it last season with their title charge, so to speak. And, they were winning the league for I don't know how many weeks. Everyone was, Arsenal winning the league, Arsenal winning the league. City ended up clawing it back and winning it. But take City out of the equation completely, and Arsenal have been walking through the Premier League, especially last season. And they're now doing it this season again. The fact that I've named off 7 games, the past 7 games, and they've won by 2 goals or more in 6 of those games, 3 of them being 6-0, 6-0, and 5-0. I mean, it's quite scary to think about. So the point is, and a lot of you Arsenal fans be sitting there with a smile on your face. The league needs to watch out, because they have structure, they have youth, and they have a coach who is, again, young and wanting to win, and they have zero mercy. So I think, the league needs to watch out for this young Arsenal team. They are on demon time, so to speak. And I think they're gonna go places. So that was, I'm not gonna really talk about the Manchester Derby because, I could talk a little bit about it. Rashford's goal, wonder goal, unbelievable. But that reiterates my point about Moments FC. Manchester United is also known as Moments FC. That's a joke, they're not, but that's what we call them. We rely on big moments to have hope. Rashford scores a flippin' wonder goal against Man City at Man City and silences the Etihad in, the 20th minute, okay? And we laid up until the 65th odd minute. There was hope for 45 minutes, essentially. But then that hope falls apart, the team falls apart, and they go and score 3 goals. And that's happening a lot. We are getting away with games through wonder goals and moments and Scott McTominay coming on in the 90th minute and winning the game. There's zero structure. That's what pains me. Watching Arsenal, watching City, watching Liverpool. They have structure. They a team of 11 players. They're not 11 individuals, they're one team. And their coach knows what they have to do, and they know what they have to do. When watching United, it seems as though Erik ten Hag says, okay, just go out and play. That's what it seems like when I'm watching United. passing the ball back, not having confidence on the ball, receiving the ball. Watching them against City, it was like Rashford would get the ball on the wing and panic. Oh, I have the ball. I need to get rid of it. The only guy who had a little bit of composure was Kobe Manu and Bruno Fernandes. The rest of them are like, oh, flip, the ball's at my feet. I need to get rid of it quickly because they know that City's going to press them. So the quicker United can bring structure to their game, the quicker United fans will be able to go into a weekend saying, oh, I'm looking forward to watching this United game. I'm excited to watch this United game. But until then, it's just going to be, oh, we could win this weekend. Oh, we could not. Oh, we're playing Burnley? That's a guaranteed win. Oh, we're 3-0 down at halftime. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. There's a lot that has to be done there. Again, 10 weeks left of the Premier League and we sit in 6th. So, getting to the Champions League is going to be a fight. But I have hope. I will always have hope with my football team. But, yeah, point is Arsenal are looking scary and people need to watch out for them. But, ladies and gentlemen, there are 2 main events today on this episode of the Cat Knows Show. One of which, Francis Ngannou versus Anthony Joshua in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia. A battle of the beasts. Once again, Francis Ngannou breaking barriers. Another super fight. He's coming off a controversial loss to Tyson Fury. A lot of people say he won that fight. I thought he won that fight, and I'm a huge Tyson Fury fan. That's saying something. What Saudi Arabia are doing, Turkey Al-Sheikh, what they're doing, they deserve so much credit. I mean, they're putting on these events time and time again. And I must stress, this fight is on a Friday. It was on Friday, March 8th, which is when you're seeing this podcast, it is tomorrow night. And the reason for that, Formula One is in Saudi Arabia on Saturday. Again, a Saturday Grand Prix. But we're not talking about Formula One. We are talking about the super fight. Francis Ngannou versus Anthony Joshua. This is a huge fight in boxing history. These guys in Saudi Arabia, especially His Excellency Turkey Al-Sheikh, they are breaking barriers and they are saving the sport of boxing one event at a time. They had the Tyson Fury versus Francis Ngannou. They had the Day of Reckoning. Now they have Joshua versus Ngannou. And it's going to be scary. I do predict Francis Ngannou will win. Something's in the air. Something's telling me that Francis Ngannou will win. Even though it is a ridiculously good matchup. AJ is coming off his TKO victory of Ottawa in December. Obviously Ngannou is coming off a loss, but he went out fighting. He went out strong. You know what I mean? He wasn't on the ground. He knocked Fury down. There's a lot of indicators from that last fight that he won, okay? But I think that loss and that controversy about his loss, and even he said it was controversial. A good guy, a humble guy like Francis said, I didn't lose, I won that fight. Whatever. But I think that's going to fuel him. And he's not going to lose it, but it's going to fuel him to beat Anthony Joshua and prove to the boxing world that he isn't a flop and he didn't just leave MMA for no reason. So it is a super fight. And you need to think about it like this, okay? In my opinion, Tyson Fury beats Anthony Joshua, okay? Fury versus Ngannou, it went Fury's way, but Ngannou won the fight, so to speak. So let's say Fury beats AJ, Ngannou beats Fury. Therefore, mathematics, Ngannou beats AJ, okay? Or sorry, I said, let's just scrap that. Fury beats Ngannou, but on paper, a lot of people are saying Ngannou beat Fury in the ring, okay? Fury beats AJ. in my opinion. I just think he's a better boxer. In that case, mathematics, Ngannou beats Anthony Joshua on March 8th in Saudi Arabia. It just makes sense, okay? But in saying that, this is the sport of boxing that we love. Anything can happen. It can be 15 seconds into the fight and Anthony Joshua could have Francis Ngannou slept on the ground. And Anthony Joshua is coming for vengeance. This guy, he came off his win against Otto Wallin. He's looking for that surge back to being a world champion. This is just going to be a crazy fight. Point being, it takes place March 8th, Saudi Arabia. My prediction, Francis Ngannou to win by decision. I don't think someone's going to get knocked out in this fight, even though a lot of people are predicting that. I just see very, very smart fighting in this boxing match. So it's obviously on Friday because the Formula 1 is on Saturday. Formula 1 in Saudi Arabia on Saturday and was in Bahrain last Saturday. Max Verstappen won the race by 5 minutes as per, and it was such an exciting race to watch. I loved watching it so much. It was so exciting. That's sarcasm for those of you who can't tell. And it's probably going to be the same thing in Saudi Arabia this weekend and Australia the weekend after that and going forward. So I'm not going to get into Formula 1. I don't really want to because it's not boring, but we've waited a long time and it's going to be the same thing as last season, which is a difficult pill to swallow. But ladies and gentlemen, the main event of today's episode, UFC 299. Sean O'Malley versus Chito Vera 2. Now, this is a UFC 300 level caliber card. Okay. In my opinion, this, when it comes to the main card, is a better main card than UFC 300. Yes, it's controversial, but I think that Sean O'Malley versus Chito Vera is a ridiculous fight. Dustin Poirier versus Benoit Saint-Denis is a crazy fight. MVP, Michael Venom Page versus Kevin Holland, crazy fight. Peter Yan versus Song Yadong, crazy fight. This is a ridiculous card, okay? And it's not even UFC 300 yet. Big news to start off. And I think we could probably not see it coming, but we could see how they would allow it. The UFC has allowed Sean O'Malley to wear pink shorts in his fight. He's got the pink shorts with the gold trim. You guys are seeing it on the screen now. The pink shorts with the gold trim, and they look so cold, in my opinion. He's obviously known for his pink, his bright colors. But he's wearing the pink shorts this weekend. They are available to buy. They're available in the game. This is the first time that we've ever seen the UFC allow a fighter their own color, unique color shorts. And I mean, it's kind of warranted, the fact that, he is a UFC star, a favorite, one that will take the sport forward. But there's one thing standing in his way, and his name is Chito Vera. Marlon Chito Vera is a killer, ladies and gentlemen, a stone cold killer, okay? He beat Pedro Munoz at UFC, 293, I think, when Sean O'Malley won the belt. Stamped his card as the next title contender and is the only man to have beaten Sean O'Malley in the past. Sean O'Malley has one loss, and that one is Chito Vera. Yes, it's a controversial fight because of the nerve damage that Sean O'Malley sustained in his knee, but it's a loss. Chito Vera won the fight. He got him down on the ground, beat him by TKO. It's a win. It's on Chito Vera's record. It's a loss on Sean O'Malley's record. But now it's a different story. Now we're talking about a healthy Sean O'Malley versus a healthy Chito Vera. A different fight, so to speak. Now, I'm going to get to that at the end. I'm going to do all my predictions first and then get to the main event. And, let's just start it off, okay? So, I'm just going to do main events, but Main card. But aside from the main card, even the prelims are crazy. Okay, early prelims are right. I think Michel Pereira is there. There's a few guys, but the undercard, okay, the prelims, you have Jailton Almeida versus Curtis Blades. Crazy fights. Jailton Almeida, killer. Curtis Blades loves to stand and bang, even though he's a wrestler. It's going to be a crazy fight. Then you have Gamrot versus Rafael dos Anjos. That, again, crazy fight. Two high-level fighters on the prelims, and that's not even the main card yet. But we are here for the main card, and you're going to see predictions for the main card. And starting off the main card is Petr Yan versus Song Yadong, okay? That is a difficult fight for me because I'm on the side of MMA where I feel sorry for Petr Yan because we can all admit he has made one mistake in his career and it has completely crushed his career. That mistake being when he was a champion before Aljamain Sterling in the bantamweight division, he illegal kneed Aljamain when he was on the ground, forcing a disqualification, and Aljamain Sterling won the belt. They had a rematch. Aljamain won that fight. Then Petr Yan had another fight with someone else. I can't remember who it was. And then fought Sean O'Malley. Sean O'Malley beat him by decision. Very close fight, but beat him by decision in Abu Dhabi at UFC 280, I'm pretty sure it was. Then he fights Merab Dvalishvili in a fight night, loses to Merab, and is now fighting Song Yadong. I do think that Petr Yan gets revenge on his career and beats Song Yadong, but that doesn't put him in a title fight, right. He doesn't have the right to that title fight then, because let's say Sean O'Malley wins against Chito Vera, Merab is next. Then you've got guys like Umar waiting behind, there's guys, Corey Sandhagen waiting. So I think Petr Yan's got to wait a bit for the belt again, which is a difficult thing because he is getting old. He's 34 now, 33. He's getting up there, but he is still a stone cold killer. And I do predict that he beats Song Yadong by TKO this weekend at UFC 299. But talking about stone cold killers, and that was the fight I didn't mention at the start. Gilbert Burns versus Jack Della Maddalena. That is a ridiculous fight. That is going to be a war, ladies and gentlemen. An absolute war. Two killers. Jack Della Maddalena, one of the best, in my opinion, one of the best boxers in the UFC when it comes to pure boxing. He is up there. Yes, it's his best skill, and yes, he uses it very well. And Gilbert Burns, who is an animal, a guy who doesn't back down. Watch his fights against Khamzat Chimaev, and you will see that guy is an absolute animal. He went toe-to-toe with one of the biggest prospects in the UFC in Khamzat Chimaev. Beat Jorge Masvidal last April, but then lost to Bahar Muhammad, and is now fighting Jack Della Maddalena at UFC 299. In saying that Gilbert is an animal, early prediction, Jack Della Maddalena is going to win this fight, but it is going to be an absolute war. Go the full 3 rounds. Jack wins by decision. Splits, unanimous, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's going to be a close war of a fight. I think that's the most underrated fight on this card. But that's the fourth last fight of the night. There's still 3 fights to go. And ladies and gentlemen, in the third fight, the long-awaited, long-spoken about debut of MVP Michael Venom Page is happening at UFC 299. It was announced at the end of last year that he would be fighting at UFC 299, and he is one of the stars of mixed martial arts in the history of the sport. Go watch his highlights. Just search up Michael Venom Page or MVP MMA highlights. The guy is like an anime character. like a movie character. Like there's a video of him, his spinning kick, where he spins, hits the guy in the head, and just stays there and looks at the crowd as the guy falls over and gets knocked out and wins the fight. The guy's a showman, you know. He is primarily a kickboxer, but he shows out in the MMA cage, and I think he's going to show out this weekend against Kevin Holland, who, again, ridiculously good fighter, tough fighter, black belts in jiu-jitsu, you know, kung fu fighter. But I think MVP is going to win this fight. And again, even though, you know, these are animals, complete animals when it comes to fighting, and I do think we're going to see a lot of knockouts. I have a feeling that this fight will go to decision because they are going to stand and bang unless Kevin Holland gets him on the ground. That will be difficult for MVP. But if it stays on the feet, you best believe MVP is long, Kevin Holland is long. They're going to stand and bang. It's going to be a great fight. I can't wait. But my prediction, Michael Venom Page by a decision in his UFC debut. And ladies and gentlemen, the cages are not closed because there are animals running riot in this UFC 299 card. Because in the co-main event, Dustin Poirier, one of the greatest UFC fighters of this generation, is fighting his 30th fight in the UFC against an up-and-coming star in Benoit Saint-Denis. Benoit Saint-Denis, a French former military officer who is just a bred killer. He is known, all he knows is killing. And he is on the rise at the moment, but this will be his biggest test yet in Dustin Poirier. Look, Dustin Poirier is getting old. He's 35 years old. But, you know, there's a lot of people will quote, if I'm in a street fight and I see that Dustin Poirier is on my team, I know that I'm good. I know that I'm not losing the street fight. And that speaks volumes because Dustin Poirier is a killer, a good guy. You know, he's coming off a knockout loss to Justin Gaethje when they fought in International Fight Week for the BMF title. So he, again, is looking for revenge on his loss. He's never lost 2 in a row in the UFC. This is his 30th fight in the UFC, and he has never lost twice in a row. Okay? He's beaten Conor McGregor twice. You know, like, the guy is a good fighter. But in saying that, you have an up-and-coming star in Benoit Saint-Denis who is looking to stamp his spot as a title contender. So I do predict Benoit Saint-Denis to win by TKO in this fight. Unfortunately, I hate to say that. Dustin Poirier, I love you, but I just can't see him getting past Benoit Saint-Denis just simply because he is on that wave of an up-and-coming star like a Khamzat Chimaev, you know, like Islam was a few years ago. Guys like that are just on the rise. You know, there's not much else that can be said. I think Dustin Poirier does take the L on this one. And then what's next for him, I don't know. He's just got to take some time to look at his options and see what's what. But I wish him all the best. Dustin Poirier, you know, I wish him all the best. I think he's one of my favorite fighters in the UFC. I do think he's an absolute stud. But I see Benoit Saint-Denis winning this fight. But ladies and gentlemen, enough talk about that. The main event, Sugar Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Chito Vera 2 for the World Bantamweight Championship. Now, I've got a bit in depth of this already, but, you know, I do think Sugar is going to win. And that's not just because he's on this rise. I think skill-wise, Marlon Chito Vera is an absolute animal. His skill is second to none. But Sean O'Malley has something about him. He has that aura, that confidence. He said exactly what he was going to do against Aljamain Sterling, and he went out and did it. You know, that takes something special. And, you know, he said, I could have been on UFC 300, but I chose to have UFC 299 as my own show. He knows that he is a star. If you know what if you are what you say you are, a superstar, that's what Sean O'Malley is. He walks out to that song. So I do see him winning this fight. And, you can take it as it is. Sean O'Malley is, if not the star, he is a superstar in the UFC right now. In my opinion, it's him, Islam, and Leon Edwards at the top as the top 3 stars, top 3 draws in the UFC at the moment. And I do see him winning. There's a lot of tension there from the last fight, and just in general, they've been going back and forth for weeks and months, and there's always been tension because of that fight in 2020, where, for those of you who don't know, Sean O'Malley, you'll see if you watch the fight, you'll see he keeps tripping and keeps falling because he damaged a nerve from a leg kick from Chito Vera in the first round of that fight. And Chito Vera ended up winning the fight because Sean couldn't stand on his right leg. But it's a fight. You get injured in a fight. And if you lose the fight, you lose the fight. Sean will stand by it for the rest of his career that he didn't lose that fight. The reality is he lost the fight. But now is time to avenge that loss. And it happens this weekend at UFC 299, the main event, UFC 299. I see him getting it done. I really do. What's next for him after that? Merab Dvalishvili is waiting. He is the backup fighter for this fight, and he is waiting on the other side when he wins this fight for the next title contender. So, point is, Sean O'Malley can I be very honest? These are, again, 2 animals, 2 knockout artists in Sean O'Malley and Chito Vera, but I see this going 5 rounds. I have to be honest. Chito's cardio is crazy. Sean O'Malley's never gone 5 rounds in his life. Neither is Chito. This is going to be a test for both of them, okay? And I see it going 5 rounds. And if it doesn't go 5 rounds, I'll give 2 predictions. I do see it going 5 rounds, but if it doesn't, I see Sean O'Malley by knockout. No one thought he could do it against Aljamain. Everyone thought Aljamain would just grab him and that would be it. He hit his right hand in the middle of his face, and that was it, Took his belt. So, I'm my prediction, Sean O'Malley to win either by knockout. What round? I have no idea. But if he doesn't get the knockout, then it will most definitely go 5 rounds. I don't see Chito finishing Sean O'Malley. Something just tells me he won't, and Sean will likely win by split decision, unanimous decision after 5 rounds. That's my honest prediction. But you guys need to let me know down below what you guys think. Whether it's comments, whether it's DMing me on Instagram, it doesn't matter. I again appreciate all the support I've been getting from the pod. It really does make my heart warm. I really do appreciate stuff like that. But that's about it for this week of the Nescat Knows Show. Thank you again for tuning in and for staying this long. I really do appreciate it, that I do. And I hope you guys enjoy this weekend, because this is a big weekend in the sports world. We've spoken about the boxing, the Formula 1, the UFC, Premier League action. There's a lot going on this weekend. So I think look out for it. Enjoy it. UFC 299 is going to be fantastic. I can't wait. And I will most probably be live on TikTok for that fight, for the main event. So, check me out there. So, yeah, guys, I appreciate it. Let me know again. And I said it in the intro, but if you are enjoying the pod, please don't forget to rate it on Spotify. And if you're watching on YouTube, to subscribe, like the video, drop me a comment where you think I can do better, where you think I did well. Any sort of feedback is appreciated, because remember, I'm still new to this. I'm getting into this podcast, and I know it looks stupid right now with the glasses, and I'm trying to be serious, but I'm still new to this. I'm trying to get as good as I can at it. feedback of any, sort is very much appreciated. But if you could rate the podcast on Spotify, because it helps with our discoverability, and for I can be suggested to people on Spotify. But if you're watching on YouTube, if you can subscribe, like the video, comment, turn post notifications on, do everything. If you are here to support me, I really do appreciate it. And your continued support makes me feel cool, man. Makes me feel good. And I really appreciate it. So that's about it, guys, for this week of the Nescat Knows Show. I hope you have enjoyed it. And again, I hope you guys enjoy UFC 299 this weekend. It's going to be a good one. And I hope you guys enjoy it. Thanks, guys. Cheers.